Hello, this is K1 and this is Space Station K1, and here we will begin the most nerve-wracking part of Kerbal for me, and that is landing. It is something I've not been able to do often, and it has resulted in failure and death many times, but it is a necessary component for running a space shuttle program. So for this, with our operational station and escape vehicle ready, I'm going to leave 2 crew members within the station and send 2 crew members home on the shuttle. So let's see, who shall we send home? Kerman had performed a successful EVA, so he should get to return home. And Nedley, because that just looks fun. Send him home. And as we undock from our station, perform a separation maneuver. Better vantage point of the station by itself, sans Shuttle, which is looking pretty good size already. Although technically the only habitable part is the HabLab module. I mean, they could go down into the hub module and docking node if they wish, but there's nothing really to do in there. We don't need those lights anymore, so we can turn those off and close our bay. And get some more distance from the station before we decide to return home. I've already exceeded my re-entry window, but fortunately I've laid a few landmarks that make landing a little easier for me. We're going to perform a maneuvering burn away from the station. And by the time we complete our orbit, we should have sufficient distance without our engine exhaust negatively affecting it. Bye-bye, pretty station. As we prepare to watch another sunset across the surface of Kerman. I keep wanting to call it Kerbal. And we actually saw our space center off in the distance there. I was wondering what that little blip was, but that's actually where I will be landing. At night, apparently. I didn't think of that. But theoretically, landing at nighttime shouldn't be as much as a problem. They should have runway lights. But I would still like to actually see the pavement as I approach. So, a lot of time to speed up as the shuttle completes a few more orbits. So we'll say that the crew was engaging in some scientific experiments for the next few days. And there's the debris from the shuttle still orbiting. Eventually orbital decay should bring that down. At least I'm hoping so. Okay, where is our space center? Not in sunlight just yet. Gonna slow down time here. Hopefully that'll help. Some atmospheric drag. You know, just out of curiosity. Switch. Oh yes, the boosters. I'm going to see if there's actually some drag going on here. Yes, indeed. Our apoapsis is dropping. So eventually these will fall back into the atmosphere, where they will be destroyed. And they're still in pretty tight formation. Where are the others? Well, it doesn't matter. Cannot switch while in an atmosphere. Well, I kind of screwed myself there. But that's okay, it's a little while before we need to move over. We need to wait until that altitude rises. Excuse me. Okay, come on, get us up to 70 so I can switch targets. There we go. Or not. Still not quite yet. $70, there we go. Fighting with my own game. Which I love when that happens. But that's okay, we'll have a bigger fight on our hands eventually. Here we are. Is our space center in view yet? It is still not. Catching the sunrise. In fact, there is our goal. Right there. And one more orbit. And we'll be golden. Although I won't actually be able to see my landmark. Or will I? No, I cannot. So I'm going to have to kind of guesstimate it based on the map here, which will put it right about here. And the landmark I've chosen is this, I don't know if you can see it, impact crater here with a little island in the middle. And I use that island as my, shall we call it, ignition point? And begin deorbit burn. Now what I want to do is get my periapsis down until my point of contact is within the water, that little island there, about halfway between my contact point and the Space Center. With a little room to spare. Otherwise I'm going to smash into those mountains. We do not want that. So I'm going to want to tilt to a somewhat vertical position and then flip over onto my belly. And prepare for re-entry. Unlike the regular space shuttle, where the heat shield is concentrated specifically on the underbelly, the spacecraft in Kerbal don't necessarily have to succumb to that deficiency. Pretty much any surface is a survivable re-entry surface, which shouldn't really happen, and that may change with upcoming updates. But hopefully by then they'll also have proper shuttle parts. So as we approach our entry interface here, our speed up becomes 0 and we see our mountains in the distance. Atmosphere should slow us down, so we'll be in good position here. Looks a little worrisome at first glance, but the last time I tested it, it worked out okay. So we're making this experiment together. First priority is to shut down this engine, because I no longer need the rocket engine. I'll be operating under atmospheric engines. And I'm going to want to turn those on higher than I normally would. In fact, those mountains are getting awfully big. Well, path is still good, so we'll see. If necessary, we'll just perform a little turnaround maneuver over the water. I'd rather not have to. We should be on energy and on course. Goodness, this is nerve-wracking. I don't think I've made a single landing attempt to where my heart wasn't pounding at about 120 beats per minute by the time I touched down. Assuming, of course, I actually did touch down. Half the time I crashed down. I'm getting the distinct impression that I overshot. But as long as I skip those mountains, because the last approach I made, I almost smacked into them. Alright, here we go. Force of re-entry, slower descent. Slow our descent. Slow our descent, please. I want that runway. I really do. Past the mountains, so that's good. Velocity is still way too high. Coming in way too hot. I'm going to overshoot. Okay. Well, I can adjust it next time. And besides, I'm not on proper lineup trajectory with the runway anyway. Now, if I was just looking to land on it, I'd be right on the button here. But no, I need that runway. So, noted for future reference. pull that entry angle back just a little bit. It's those darn mountains. They don't make it so tricky. So at about 10,000 meters, fire our atmospheric engines. If I was in line with the runway, I could almost make this work, but that would still be coming down a bit too hard. And I'm not that brave. Make a pass over the ocean and then line up. And while we're at it, let's turn the game volume down a bit, because that may be a little loud with these engines. I suppose I could attempt to land on that runway over there, but I'm not sure if it's built to take a shuttle. In fact, I'm sure it's not. And there is our goal. So for an amateur making an approach, I think I made a pretty good one. Certainly better than an earlier attempt where I ended up way over here, which would have taken forever to turn around, but that's okay. I don't have to worry about fuel, because atmospheric engines don't consume nearly as much fuel as rocket engines do. So I can just hang in the air if I like. But let's get out a little distance over the ocean here. I know targeting that runway is going to be a tricky feat. Okay, about what is my distance? Target to check out from. I can't tell. There's no reference points. I think I'll say about parallel with the island. That's where I'll make my turn. Actually maintaining level flight without touching any controls. I'm also pointed up at an angle, but that's okay. It's a shuttle. It's meant to be a flying brick. Thankfully, this brick can actually catch some air in its wings. Say hello, runway. Get that line about straight. As I'm at about 1,000 meters. Alright. Still doesn't look exactly straight. I want to drop down probably a little faster than I am and then level out as I get close. The details are getting big, but my altitude isn't dropping. Okay. And this is just landing a simulated aircraft in a game. I can't imagine what it's like for actual pilots. I remember seeing something that said, flying is the second greatest thrill known to man. Landing is the first. I believe it. Alright. Let's see if we can angle ourselves out here. I think we're lined up. Let's sneak some power down. Hello, Mr. Runway. You're approaching fast. I'm still too high. Drop down to 150 and then level ourselves out. Still too high. Still too fast. Okay. I'm surprised the camera is not picking up my boop-boom, 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 boop-boom. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Level out. Level out. Level out. Level out. Don't go up. Go down. Don't overshoot. You're overshooting. Alright. Level out. Level out. Level out. Level out. Cut out power. And... no, stay on the runway. Stay on the runway. Stay on the runway. And brake. Brake, 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 brake. Oh boy! Whew! And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a successful landing on video from K1. Woo! We have successfully recovered the crew from Space Station K1, and they are live. Engines now stopped. Now I can say roll my vehicle into the assembly building, but I'm not going to bother with that. My crew is safe. I'll leave it at that. This has been Space Station K1, recovering the Space Shuttle. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Good night.